New York Times reporter Maggie Haberman details how Donald Trump allegedly tried to flush White House documents in the toilet. Now, she's detailing what she learned in this next clip. Let's watch.
I learned that staff in the White House residence would periodically find the toilet clogged. The engineer would have to come and fix it. And what the engineer would find would be wads of, clumped up wet printed paper, meaning it was not toilet paper. This was either notes or some other piece of paper that, they believe that he had thrown down the toilet. What it could be, Brianna, could be anybody's guess. It could be Post-its, it could be notes he wrote to himself, it could be other things we don't know, but it certainly does add, as you said, another dimension to what we know about how he handled material in the White House. We have known for several years, since my colleague Annie Carney broke the story, that Trump was ripping up pieces of paper and that his staff was having to tape it back together for archival purposes. This is how he has handled documents and pieces of paper all his life in terms of ripping them up. But this was something different, and it was not, as I was told, an isolated incident.
So this is part of the growing controversy involving Donald Trump either ripping up or doing away with official White House documents. These are documents that are supposed to be saved, maintained. The National Archives are supposed to keep track of this. In fact, recently they had to travel all the way to Mar-a-Lago in order to grab boxes, dozens of boxes of documents that Trump took with him from the White House to Mar-a-Lago. We covered that earlier. The toilet story, I just feel like anything involving Trump and a scandal or investigation, it has the same timeline, right? And it just gets more and more absurd and crazy, and then eventually it leads to nothing, which is why this story made me roll my eyes. But what do you think, Jay?
Yeah, well, look, I think Trump had a fair excuse when he was asked to explain it. So let's watch what he had to say.
Dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Oh, he meant for the ballots. I got you. Okay, so when he started talking about massive dumps on Pennsylvania, maybe Avenue, I thought maybe that was gonna be his excuse. No, in reality, he actually put out a statement and it was just as funny. He had misspellings in it, of course. He misspelled camouflage. It's not an easy word to spell. I don't care about misspellings, but what that shows you is, this is the former president of the United States, and he doesn't have a single person who could just help him with a simple edit, right? And he said, oh, the documents with the archives, we had no problems at all, okay? We cooperated fully. Besides which, I looked into it, and I don't have to give him any of the documents back, and Clinton didn't either.
Yeah, we have those statements. Should I read them?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, in regard to the flushing of documents, he denied that, saying another fake story that I flushed papers and documents down a White House toilet is categorically untrue and simply made up by a reporter in order to get publicity for a mostly fictitious book. Which I gotta admit, I'm also getting very tired of the Trump-related books. It's nonstop.
No, I got you,
yeah.
But this is almost definitely true because of another clip we're gonna show you in a little bit.
Right, the rest of his statement, or parts of it that I think are relevant, he said the media's characterization of my relationship with the National Archives is fake news. It was, I love how easy it is for him to just write anything off by saying it's fake news. It was exactly the opposite. It was a great honor to work with them to help formally preserve the Trump legacy. The papers were given easily and without conflict and on a very friendly basis, which is different from the accounts being drawn by the fake news media. He's been out of office for over a year. The National Archives went to Mar-a-Lago to retrieve the records and the documents about a month ago.
Yeah, so the next quote in his statement was, in fact, it was viewed as routine and quote, no big deal. In actuality, I've been told I was under no obligation to give this material based on various legal rulings that have been made over the years. If there was no controversy about you giving the papers over, why did you ask for legal rulings on giving the papers over? He's so dumb. You can't say, hey, you know what? There was no controversy. I gave it and said, I've been checking for a year on my legal rights on keeping the papers. So apparently there was a controversy. And I'm not the guy who said it. You're the guy who said it, you schmuck of schmucks. By the way, he also said, how about Hillary Clinton? Yeah, exactly. You ran a whole campaign saying, can you believe that she kept the emails? And then you keep the documents. Unreal. Then he said, she got rid of a lot of the documents and acid washed the emails. There is no such thing as acid washing emails. You acid wash pants and jeans, not emails.
I mean, maybe he was speaking figuratively.
No, he doesn't know anything. So did he actually flush him down the toilet? And what does that mean? Well, when the story came up, Anna and I remembered, wait a minute, Trump had said something that just didn't make any sense near the end of his term. We're like, why is he randomly talking about toilets? Here, watch this clip.
We have a situation where we're looking very strongly at sinks and showers and other elements of bathrooms where you turn the faucet on in areas where there's tremendous amounts of water, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it, and you don't get any water. You turn on the faucet, you don't get any water. They take a shower and water comes dripping out, just dripping out, very quietly dripping out. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once. They end up using more water.
10 times, 15 times,
Yeah.
huh?
So that was,
flushing.
Context is important. We tell you that a million times. That was in the middle of a completely different issue. It came out of left field and we're like, why is he talking about his bathroom problems? And it turns out it's because officials were going to Trump and saying, stop clogging up the toilets with the evidence you're trying to get rid of, okay? And so it's on at the top of his mind, even though none of us know it at the time when he was president. It's top of mind for him because officials are constantly telling him, stop flushing down national documents in the toilet. So he comes out in the middle of a question, and the toilets, it's got a problem, it's got a problem. You moron, why did you bother saying that publicly? Now it's obvious that that's what you were doing. And guys, I know right-wingers, you have no attachment to logic anymore. You hate the idea of someone being rational. But why would you flush papers down the toilet consistently? To keep them? Because you weren't worried about them? No, you do it to get rid of them. You know who does that? Someone who's guilty. It's so obvious if you weren't blind. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.